In the last lecture, we were discussing Biot-Savart's law, which allows us to find the field at any point due to a distribution of currents. This law is quite general and we applied it to many situations, and I hope that you learnt how to tackle problems which are based on Biot-Savart's law, and you are able to find the magnetic field at various points. Also, I emphasized all the time that the direction of the field can be found by the cross product d l cross r cap. So, you apply the right hand screw rule and you can find the direction of the magnetic field, the point that you are asked. In this lecture, I am going to consider now the motion of particles in electric fields and electric and magnetic fields. Let us start with electric field and let us take a charged particle which has charge q. It is moving an electric field, and the force we have seen already on this charged particle is q e, and this force of course is a vector quantity. So, it will be in the direction of the electric field. So, having learnt that it is always going to be in the direction of the electric field, let us forget about the direction for the time being and concentrate on the magnitudes. Now, if F e is the force which is equal to q e, then the acceleration is q e by m, where m is the mass of the charged particle, and E itself is v by d, where v is the potential difference applied across a certain distance d. Now, we come back to mechanics. We use v equal to u plus a t to find out the velocity after a certain time t, when the particle starts with initial velocity 0. Similarly, S half g t square, you remember from the gravity. So, half a t square half q v by m d times t square, and in terms of the distance covered, we know v is equal to square root of 2 a s. So, we substitute the value of a and we get 2 q v s divided by m d and square root of that. The time required to travel the distance s is, again you can, from this equation we have got t square here. So, you can get t equal to m d s divided by q v under root. And the kinetic energy, once the particle has travelled through a potential v, then the work done is q v, and therefore, the kinetic energy is half m v squared, which is q v, the distance travelled is s, and v by d is the field. Therefore, the kinetic energy is q v s by d. So, that is the kinetic energy, and remember that the kinetic energy here is depend on the charge and the electric field and the distance covered, but not on the mass. So, protons and electrons travelling through the same potential difference, the same distance between in the potential difference, they would have the same kinetic energy. So, the kinetic energy is half m v squared q v, and from this we get v equal to 2 q v by root of m, and this velocity is sometimes called impact velocity. And from this expression, or earlier one, if we put q equal to E and v equal to 1, then we get our unit electron volt. Electron volt, you remember, is the work done when electron moves through a potential difference equal to 1 volt. We have now electric field supplied by these two plates. The field is in this direction. The distance between the plates is d, and the length of the plates is L, and we have got x coordinate system, x in this direction, y in this direction. So, a charged particle comes here, and let us see what happens to this. And suppose the electron enters a field with velocity v x in the x direction, that is in this direction. Let us see what happens to it. Since there is no force in the x direction, the field is in the y direction. In the x direction there is no field, therefore, there is no force, and it continues with the velocity v x in the x direction. In the y direction, there is a field v by d, and with velocity v x, it covers this distance x in time x by v x, and in that time the distance travelled along the y axis because of the attraction of the electric field is, again using the expression we have derived earlier, half E v by m d into t square, and t square here is x square by v x squared. And in coordinate geometry, you must have read that this equation y equal to some constant times x square represents a parabola. So, this path is a parabola. This is the equation of a parabola. Thus, the path of a charged particle in an electric field perpendicular to its direction of motion is a parabola. And knowing y equal to half whatever this expression is, we can get E by m. You see, if we know v, d, x, v x, if we know all these things, we can get E by m. And this is the basis of Thomson's experiment for determination of E by m. So far, we had only electric field. Suppose magnetic field is also present, then we have seen that if magnetic field is present and a particle, charged particle of charge q is moving with velocity v in the field, then the force, magnetic force on this, which is called Lorentz force on this, is q v cross b, and its magnitude is q v b sin theta. Now, if electric field is also present, then the total force on the charged particle, we have seen this already earlier, is given by q E plus q into v cross b, that is q into within the bracket E plus v cross b. And you also, I think, need to be reminded that Lorentz force v cross b is perpendicular to both b and v, and is perpendicular to the plane containing b and v. B and v is this plane, the force is perpendicular to this plane. B and v is in this plane, and the force is perpendicular to that plane. So, this I think we have discussed earlier also, and you would remember. And again, v cross b is given by the right hand screw rule. So, you can find the direction, we have done it several times. Now, let us take the case. A particle is moving in the along the x direction, the magnetic field is along the y direction. What happens to this? Now, v cross b is in the z direction. So, the particles turn to the right. Now, therefore, the direction of its velocity changes, the magnitude does not, because the force is perpendicular to both v and b. Therefore, there is no change in the magnitude of velocity, but there is a change in the direction of the velocity. Now, if I take a cross product between this v and the new v and b, I will find that there is more bending, and eventually if I keep on doing this, I will find that this particle goes in a circular path in a plane perpendicular to b. So, if I have a charged particle, if I have a perpendicular field b and charged particle coming, then this charged particle would go in a circle around this field as shown here, and you can find the direction. The positive charge will go in a clockwise direction, and the negative charge would go in a anti-clockwise direction if this is the direction of the b and this is the direction of v. All that you have to do is to find v cross b, and if it is negative charge, then give a negative direction to that. And this motion carried out by the charged particle in a magnetic field is called gyration. We say that the charged particle gyrates around the magnetic field lines. It is easy to see that a negative charge will gyrate in the opposite direction, and the frequency with which this gyrates is called the gyro frequency, or more popularly cyclotron frequency. Now, if an electric field E is also present in the same direction as the magnetic field, that is both B and E are in the same direction, then what happens? We have seen that B would make the particles go in a circular orbit around the magnetic field lines. E would pull them up, because E applies a force in the direction of the field. So, therefore, a charged particle which was going like this now starts making a spiral motion. So, if both B and E are present and V is like this and B is like this and E is also like this, then a positive charge particle would go in a spiraling motion. When a charged particle encounters a magnetic field, it gyrates around it and cannot penetrate it. You see, a particle was moving like this, it found a magnetic field, then it got trapped, because it cannot go past the magnetic field. It is trapped in the magnetic field, it just goes around the magnetic field. Let me show you this. This is also a particle was coming, there is a magnetic field, so it starts gyrating around the magnetic field lines and is trapped, it cannot go anywhere. So, that is what we are saying. We say that the charged particle is trapped in the magnetic field. The earth is surrounded by two regions populated by charged particles, mostly electrons and protons. These are called radiation belts or von Allen belts. I think those of you who are interested in space physics would have by this time learnt about these von Allen belts. They were discovered by the scientist von Allen, and he found that there are two regions surrounding the earth where there is a concentration of charged particles. These are known as two belts. How are they trapped? Let us see. This is the earth, this is the magnetic field line. A charged particle was coming here and it just got trapped and moving, it starts moving along the field line. It cannot penetrate the earth's magnetic field. Since the magnetic field of the earth is neither constant nor uniform, the motion of the trapped particle is quite complicated. I have shown it a simple picture, but that is not the case. It is a very complicated thing, because both magnetic field varies both in time and space. Many of the particles trapped in the radiation belts have high energies. They pose a grave threat to the safety of astronauts and spacecrafts. You see, you must have heard the expression space weather. Space weather includes the condition of these two belts. One space scientists therefore keep a careful watch on the variation of particle intensity in these belts, and they time their launches so that the effect on the satellites is minimum. Here this picture is from SSCL Montana University. Here are the two belts. This red one is called the inner belt and this gray one is called the outer belt. So, we have two belts, the inner belt and the outer belt, and incidentally we also show the axis of rotation of the earth and the magnetic axis of the earth, just to familiarize you with this kind of thing. And here I show you a more complicated picture. What is happening is the particle trapped in the earth's magnetic field. It was coming, the poor fellow could not penetrate the magnetic field and it got caught in the magnetic field and starts travelling along the magnetic field. As it goes, the magnetic field here becomes stronger, just the earth's field, earth's field is like this. So, it is stronger, the field lines are more crowded here than here. So, the field is stronger, and you will learn later, if you happen to learn plasma physics, that strong magnetic field here, this reflects the particles back, and the particle then keep on moving back and forth from here to here. These are called mirror points, because the reflection is like a mirror. So, these are called mirror points, and these are the places where the magnetic field is very strong, and we go like this. And two belts discovered by von Allen are the inner belt and the outer belt. You can find more about these from the sources I have quoted here, and you can find what happens to these belts and what is space weather and so on, and why scientists, when they launch satellites, are worried about the activity in these belts. These belts of charged particles can harm these spacecrafts or astronauts, but they also are very good in a certain way. And what is that? If the energetic particles which are trapped in the magnetic field, they could reach the earth, they have very high energies, and therefore, they could endanger the human life on the earth. By trapping these particles, therefore, the magnetic field acts as a protective shield, just like the shield which protects us from the harmful effects of ozone, and this shield is called magnetic shield. This allows life to develop on the earth. If magnetic shield were not there, the particles, very high energy particles, would simply come and hit whatever life is there on the earth, and they would destroy that. So, this magnetic shield is very important for us, because it has allowed the life to develop on the earth. This is quite similar to the shield provided by the ozone layer in the atmosphere, which protects life on the earth from the harmful effects of the solar UV radiation. This you know, but perhaps you did not know that magnetic field also serves a very important purpose of preventing the high energy particles from coming and hitting us. Let us take a small example. The velocity of the particle is like this, magnetic field is like this. This I have done just to familiarize you with the various kind of situations that the examiners can pose before you. So, V is like this, B is like this. So, what you do is V cross B. So, you take the magnetic field here, this is the velocity, this is the magnetic field. So, V cross B, and that would give you the direction of the field. Similarly, here say a particle is coming with velocity V, and then it finds a magnetic field B. So, what do? We break the velocity into two components. One component parallel to B is not affected. The component parallel to B would trap the particles in the gyrating motion around the field lines, and therefore, the result would be this. The parallel component would carry the particle forward along the magnetic field, and the perpendicular component would gyrate, make the particles gyrate, and the two together make the particles move in a spiral around the magnetic field lines. Now, a charged particle is moving in a circular orbit with uniform speed v. It produces a magnetic field B at the center of the circle. Find the radius of the circle. We have found already the magnetic field due to a loop, and a charge q moving in a circular orbit is equivalent to a current, right, and this current is q v by 2 pi r, and now just apply this formula mu 0 I by 2 r, that is equal to B, and from this you can get r. R is mu 0 q by 4 pi into V by B and square root of that. Simple application, not much. All that you have to remember is that a moving charged particle is equivalent to a current, and if it is going in a loop, then the current is equal to q v by 2 pi r. This 2 pi r by v is actually the time taken. So, q by t is the current. Now, again all that you find the magnetic force acting on a charged particle. So, V cross B, V is given and B is given. B is 2 Tesla in the y direction, and V is given by 2 I cap plus 3 j cap in terms of 10 to the power 6 meter per second. So, you just take the cross multiplication. You know that I cross I is 0, I cross j is k. So, this cross product would give you a vector k in the direction of k, but because of the negative sign, it would be in the direction of minus z, not in the direction of z. Under the influence of a uniform magnetic field, a charged particle is moving in a circle of radius r with constant speed v. Find the time period of the motion. It is easy. All that you do is equate the magnetic force with the centripetal force, because magnetic force provides the necessary centripetal force for the motion of the charged particle in a circle. From this you get the velocity, from which you get the time period, and the time period is 2 pi m by b q. The reciprocal of this time period would be the gyro frequency or cyclotron frequency, and this is independent of both v and r. The frequency or the time period, they are independent of both v and r. It depends only on the mass of the particle, charge of the particle, and the magnetic field. The frequency, the cyclotron frequency is given by 1 by t, which is q v by 2 pi m. So, notice that the radius of the circular orbit r is m v by b q. It depends on the mass of the particle. So, if I know V, B and Q, I can get the mass of the particle. So, by keeping V constant, Q constant and varying B, I can separate particles of different masses. This is the principle of the mass filter or the mass spectrograph. You can, in a beam there are particles of various masses. So, by adjusting they are moving with, let us say, the constant velocity V, and the charge also let us say is the same, then by varying B or within the B they would have circles of different radii, and so you can separate the particles. Magnetic field acts as a mass selector. Now, suppose there is a crossed field, that is, you have magnetic field going inside and the electric field from positive to negative in this direction, and there is an electron, poor electron here. What will happen? You can work out, electron would be attracted to the positive terminal. So, it will travel like this in this parabola. The given magnetic field would make it move downwards in a parabola, and the deflection on the two sides would be the same, and therefore, the charge can go without any deflection. The electric field is vertically downwards, while the magnetic field is going into the plane. The electric field deflects the particle upwards, the magnetic field deflects it downwards, the two deflections are equal. That means, E E is equal to E V B, the electron of velocity v will continue undeflected. That means, if I adjust T and B, I can, out of a beam I can select a certain velocity. This arrangement is called velocity selector, and this V would be E by B from these expressions. Now, let me repeat something that we did earlier. I have now a long wire, very long wire, and I make a loop of this as shown here. So, I make a loop of this wire. So, in the loop the current is going anticlockwise, and in the wire it is going in this direction. So, I want to find out the field at the center of the loop. Since we know both the expressions, due to a loop and due to a long current, we can just add them or subtract if the fields are in the opposite direction. In this case, you can work out, I leave it for you as an exercise, that the fields are in the same direction, the field due to this loop and the field due to this wire at the point which is at the center of the loop, they are in the same direction. So, you just add them. So, we get B, the magnitude of B is B loop plus B wire, which is mu 0 I by 2 pi r, the formula we derived earlier, plus mu 0 I by 2 pi r, again the formula derived earlier, and we sum them together, and this is the magnitude of the field due to this arrangement. Let us modify the arrangement slightly. Now, I take the wire and make a loop like this, not like this, but this kind of sigma, Greek letter sigma. So, the current goes like this and takes a loop and then goes like this. Again we have to find the field at the center of the loop. Now, you can work out and you will see that the fields now are in the opposite direction, and therefore, you must take the difference of the two fields. The field due to the loop is mu 0 I by 2 r, and field due to the long wire is mu 0 I by 2 pi r, and since this is weaker field and this is in the opposite direction to the field of the loop, therefore, the ultimate expression is mu 0 I by 2 pi r into 1 minus 1 by pi, and that is this field is okay, you can work out going into the plane. So, these are simple examples, simple exercises, there is no problem. I wanted to familiarize you with these problems, because these are favorites of examiners. So, in this lecture we discussed the motion of charged particles in electric and magnetic fields, and we saw that the particle moving with velocity v in a field which is perpendicular to its direction of motion gets caught and starts gyrating around this. If there is also electric field present in the direction of the magnetic field, then it has a spiraling motion, it goes up, but keeps on spiraling, keeps on gyrating. In the next lecture, I intend to start with magnetism. So, we shall start in the next lecture with magnetism, and then we shall study the magnetic properties of materials and so on.